This isn't a dark thriller about crime. It's about damage. In a Lonely Place strips Hollywood romance down to jealousy, rage, and quiet fear, exposing how love curdles when violence lives just under the surface. What looks like a murder mystery slowly becomes something far more unsettling.
I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. There she is, the one that's different. She's not coy or cute.
Squeeze harder. It's wonderful to feel her throat crush under your arm.
Fact 19. A marriage falling apart on camera. Sometimes the film's romance mirrors reality. On screen, Gloria Grahame and director Nicholas Ray create one of Noir's most uneasy, intimate relationships. Every look feels loaded. Every silence feels dangerous. But what if the breakup you're watching wasn't acting at all? During filming, Grahame and Ray's real marriage was actively collapsing. Off-set, they were barely speaking, emotionally and physically distant. Many critics believe that tension leaked straight into the film, shaping its anxious, distrustful mood. And yes, that discomfort you feel? It was real. Fact 18. The director sleeping above the garage. Things between Nicholas Ray and Gloria Grahame deteriorated so badly that Ray didn't just move out, he moved onto the studio lot itself. At this point, you'll surely wonder, how far does a director go to avoid going home to his star wife? During production, Ray literally slept in a tiny apartment above a garage at Columbia, surviving on black coffee and non-stop work. This exhaustion didn't stay off camera. It fed directly into the film's drained, brittle atmosphere. Fact 17. The Obey Your Husband contract. Columbia grew so nervous about the Ray-Grahame marriage imploding mid-shoot that they stepped in with paperwork. And you won't believe how extreme it got. Well, Gloria Grahame was forced to sign a special clause stating she would follow the director's instructions without protest and would not strike, punch, or kick him on set. That tension even reshaped the story itself. Fact 16. The original murder ending. If you remember, in the version Nicholas Ray first shot, Dix didn't just scare Laurel, he actually killed her. But the movie was supposed to be darker than this.
Promise I'll stay with you. I love you, Dix. I'll marry you. I'll go away with you. Take me.
Run away from me the first chance you get.
Don't act like this, Dix. I can't live with a maniac.
I'll never let you go.
Dix, don't! Dix, please!
Ray filmed an ending where Bogart's character strangles Grahame in a blind rage. Then, Columbia rejected it as too bleak, forcing Ray to replace it with the more ambiguous breakup we know today. Fact 15. The director who hated the ending. Yes, he hated it. Nicholas Ray never forgave the studio for throwing out his murder ending and making him reshoot something softer. However, he was forced to behave himself in those last 5 minutes. Later, Ray said the compromise ruined the story's moral spine. Today, critics read the released ending as a damaged echo, a broken version of the harsher, truer film Ray wanted to make. Fact 14. Bogart bought the story for himself. In A Lonely Place wasn't just another role Bogart accepted. His own company, Santana Productions, bought the rights to Dorothy B. Hughes's novel specifically for him. So why would Hollywood's toughest leading man choose a role this disturbed? Because it let Bogart dismantle his heroic image. Instead of the cool professional, he plays a volatile, insecure screenwriter, a performance many critics now call the most revealing of his career. And the source material he chose was even darker. Fact 13. The novel made Dix a serial killer. Dorothy B. Hughes' original novel doesn't play coy about Dix Steele. He's straight up a misogynistic serial killer stalking Los Angeles. The movie turned him into a maybe killer instead of a definite monster, since Ray and the screenwriters rewrote Dix as ambiguous to satisfy censors and to make audiences share Laurel's doubt, turning the story into a psychological minefield instead of a simple whodunit. Fact 12. The studio that said, "Too unpleasant." Before Columbia made it, In a Lonely Place was pitched at Warner Brothers, the studio that had turned Bogart into a star. Then, suddenly his home studio acted squeamish about a Bogart vehicle. The Warners literally rejected the project as too grim and uncommercial, so Bogart's own Santana Productions took it to Columbia instead, freeing the film to be much harsher about male violence and Hollywood. Fact 11. A courtyard built from scratch. The whole apartment complex where Dix and Laurel circle each other in paranoia looks like a real Hollywood building. But it's not. Actually, the courtyard, balconies, and stairs are all part of a carefully controlled, fake neighborhood. Columbia built the entire courtyard set on a soundstage, so Ray could choreograph arguments, glances, and police visits like theater, trapping the characters in a literal, manufactured pressure cooker. But inside that pressure cooker, the fear was real. Fact 10. Real fear in Gloria Grahame's reactions. Some of Gloria Grahame's tiny flinches and stiff body language around Bogart weren't carefully rehearsed acting choices. Ray often encouraged her to let her real discomfort and nerves bleed straight into the scene. Biographers note that a few takes where she genuinely recoils at Dix's outbursts were so raw that Ray kept them, giving the film its painfully believable sense of walking on eggshells. Fact 9. Bogart was genuinely scary on set. Humphrey Bogart was famous for tough guys, but cast and crew said Dick Steele pushed him into something harsher. This wasn't cozy, bogey charisma, it was unnerving. Biographers say Bogart drew on his own darker moods and drinking, and some crew members said they found his rages in character so intense they were uncomfortable being near him between takes. Fact 8. A murder plot ripped from real police files. The movie opens with a young woman murdered after a night in Hollywood, and it feels uncomfortably real. That's because it kind of was. The fictional case isn't purely made up. If you don't know, Ray studied actual LAPD case files on women killed in 1940s Los Angeles, folding details into the script so the investigation would echo the city's real post-war fear about predatory men. Fact 7. Dix's drunk driving rage came from Ray's life. One of the ugliest scenes shows Dix exploding in road rage, nearly beating another driver to death after a late-night car incident. But why does that outburst feel so specific and personal instead of Hollywood fake? Soon, Ray said he once crashed a car while drunk and almost killed someone, and he poured that guilt straight into Dix's violent meltdown, turning it into a confession disguised as Noir. Then, the same anger even seeped into the film's most famous words. Fact 6. The line the studio tried to kill. I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. I'm sure you've heard this one of Noir's most quoted lines. At that time, Columbia executives thought it was embarrassingly sentimental and pushed to cut it. Still, Ray and Bogart fought to keep the line in, and it ended up crystallizing the film's entire tragic love story in a single bruised sentence. Fact 5. The ending was almost a straight-up murder. The film ends with Dix nearly killing Laurel before a phone call stops him, clearing him of murder, but not of ruining the relationship.
Oh, Dix, please don't!
But in the original scripted ending, Dix actually strangled Laurel to death and was arrested right after finishing that famous line on his typewriter. But Nicholas Ray hated how neat and ironic it felt, so he rewrote and improvised the quieter, more tragic breakup that made the final cut. Fact 4. Bogart quietly bet his own money on this movie. Unlike most of his classics, this one was not a comfy studio assignment where he just showed up, acted, and went home. Bogart made the film through his own company, Santana Productions, meaning his personal money and reputation were on the line, even though the movie underperformed at the box office. That risk is what let him and Ray push for a darker, more honest character than the big studios usually allowed. Fact 3. The noir that got better with age. It is easy to assume this movie was just another mid-tier noir that came and went with the 1950s, forgotten under the shadows of bigger titles. But over the decades, it quietly climbed the rankings, and now critics regularly place it among the most psychologically complex noirs ever made, with modern reviewers praising how it turns a murder mystery into a raw study of Hollywood, anger, and doomed love. Fact 2. The book made him a serial killer. Now, moving back to the source material, the version of Dix Steele on the page is far more extreme than anything the film could show. Well, in Dorothy B. Hughes's original novel, Dix is openly a misogynistic serial strangler who only pretends to be a writer. But Nicholas Ray's film flips that idea, turning him into a genuinely talented screenwriter whose violent temper and unresolved trauma make the audience constantly question whether there is a real killer hiding underneath. Fact 1. The movie was really about Hollywood eating its own. For the last one, what if the murder plot was just a cover for a filmmaker quietly roasting the entire studio system that employed him? Instead of centering the film on who committed the murder, Nicholas Ray shifts the spotlight to the system around it. Dix's professional collapse mirrors Hollywood's quiet brutality, an industry that exploits talent, fractures lives, and hides its damage behind scripts, contracts, and box office numbers. So what do you think? Is Dix Steele a misunderstood man fighting his demons? Or a ticking time bomb hiding in plain sight? Does the film offer tragedy or a warning? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you like your cinema dark, uncomfortable, and honest, like, subscribe, and share before the credits fade.